Flatland of Magic, a novel of God's Legion, by J.T. Dowdy. Chapter 3. This is more for you people who are new to the Legion, as most of what we will talk about is normal for us. I have already been asked by a few of you just how the Legion's military functions, without the established rank structure, such as found in the majority of creation. To those who grew up on the outside, your militaries have numerous non-commissioned officers, followed by so many officers, it is a wonder your ponderous organizations can function. I shall explain our ways, so take notes. We only have 3 field command ranks. A decurion leads 10 men, 8 regular and 2 specialists in a contubernium. A centurion leads 100 men, and a legate commands between 5 to several tens of thousands, depending on what their legio was made to do. Because of this, orders do not have to filter down a long chain and risk getting garbled or misunderstood. But the real question you have on your mind is what happens when the officer is either killed or incapacitated, and that is simple. You find the person with the most experience and do what they tell you to do. You use your eyeballs and find the legionnaire with the most honor chains and stick close to them, because they've been in and seen more combat, and thus knows how to get you home. Someone in the back just asked about administrative duties. Son, the sentients who run the ships you're going to be riding around on think at light speed. Who do you think handles the paperwork? Yes, there are other titles and positions who fill specialized roles such as the signifier, but those positions are not in direct command unless they are the only ones left and the most experienced. My sentients and I do not allow people to be promoted to leadership if they cannot earn it based on merit. All of you in this Decurion's Academy were in positions of authority in your home nation's militaries. And I want you all to think about what I just said. If you are incapable of listening to the voice of experience, then our military is not going to be for you. If you believe you know better than someone who has been alive and fighting battles for thousands or millions of years, or in some cases, far longer, the door is right there. I do not care what your previous rank was, only your ability to learn and listen. If you can do those 2 things, then we just might make decurions out of you at the end of this course. And we are also going to see what branch suits your skills the best. So don't be too attached to what you think you know. Opening speech from the latest Decurion's Academy at the Legion War College. The Legion Master was able to slip out of the hotel mostly unnoticed until one of the guards posted outside heard the front doors open and turned to look. "Halt!" the guard called out. He stepped closer to hold out a quartz point, which flashed into dim light. "Oh, you're with the new emissary, right?" "I am," Lucifer agreed. "Where are you going?" "You're supposed to stay in the building till morning. It's for your safety." "I am going to the bookstore on 8th and 12th. My lady's travelling possessions were lost when our carriage broke down, and she would like suitable entertainment for the evening. If I don't get her something to occupy her time, she gets physically abusive and starts shouting the walls down. Can you help me out, man?" The soldier grimaced, because everyone knew how uptight and mean noble women could get when deprived of entertainment. He sympathized with the servant in front of him, but he had his orders. "I am sorry, but my captain left strict orders for our squad to keep all of you inside the hotel. Could we compromise? If you come with me, you can make sure I do not get into trouble." "I have my orders." "Do you really want to stand outside all night, staring at nothing, while you listen to my lady get louder and louder? I'll buy you a drink when we get back. Hell, man, I'll buy your whole squad a beer. I am begging you, do not make me go back into that room, empty-handed." The soldier looked to the firmament above to grind his teeth. He had spent the whole day training before being ordered to stay up all night to play babysitter to some rich noblewoman. He was dreading standing outside all second shift pacing back and forth. His sergeant would scold him for abandoning his post, but his sergeant was also known to forgive minor trespasses if he was given alcohol. So long as nothing happened to the visitor or he got into trouble, everything should be fine. Besides, where the servant wanted to go was in the rich district, where all of the guards spent the majority of their time patrolling during second shift anyway, because it was better lit. Okay, fine, but I am holding you to the drinks. Bless you, Lucifer said. Come on, let's go before someone sees us and gets a case of the arse about it. It took an hour for the creator and the soldier to make it to the bookstore. There were no lights shining from the inside, and the building gave every indication of being entirely empty. Lucifer walked up to the door to rap his knuckles on it 3 times. Then after a pause, twice, then once. "Who is it?" A squeaky male voice called out from the inside. "The guy who signs your paychecks, Malcolm." "Gonna need a bit more proof than that." The voice sounded very nervous for some reason. Lucifer rolled his eyes as he turned to look to the guard, who just shrugged, as if to say he had no idea what was going on. "You didn't hear this?" he said to the guard, before raising his voice to call back inside. "Ask Mab if she would like to incur the cost of your services. As I recall, I paid you over 5,000 iron bars last year." "You're not even worth 500, called a female voice from the inside, as the soldier took a step back, as he thought he recognized who was speaking. There was a furious, scrambling series of noises as someone began chanting to disengage the magical and physical locks on the shop's front door. The door was jerked open with great speed as a short brownie wearing leather pants and a crisp white shirt bowed deeply with an exaggerated flourish. He had tufts of wiry grey hair poking out from the side of a round leather hat, and he was extraordinarily ugly. "Oh, 1,000 pardons for being careful, Holy One," he said in his whining, nasally voice. "But you know how dangerous these times can be. Yes, I think you do. And you know, it's not exactly as if you paid me to open the door at strange hours." Lucifer turned to look at the soldier and ask, "You want a brownie? I hear they are delicious when slowly baked in the oven and sprinkled with chocolate chunks." The soldier stammered, not knowing what the large man was talking about. He looked back to the short gnome-like man who wore garters on his long-sleeve shirt like a banker. The little man was being obsequious, more out of some long-running joke than because he actually was. Pale light from several crystal points set in decorative wall sconces blazed into glory to show a pale woman with reddish-orange hair done up in elaborate braids. She wore a white dress with red flower accents, and she was not smiling. She beckoned for everyone to step inside, then looked to the brownie shopkeeper and the soldier. "You will wait upstairs until I send for you. You are to never speak of what you see or hear to anyone, or I will find you and make you regret it. Go." Both men knew better than to argue and obeyed automatically to head to the back stairs. Lucifer waited till they were both gone to close the upstairs door and sit across from this universe's ruler. The pair stared at each other for a long while before Lucifer spoke first, since he was the one who requested the meeting. He asked, "Do you want to scream and throw things at me, or can we actually have this conversation?" Creator Mab, monarch of the many Fey nations and master of an entire universe, rolled her eyes to groan. Men. The emphasis she put on the word went far beyond simple frustration. "Tell me, why do you assume I am going to fly into histrionics like some scorned lover?" The Legion Master leaned back in his chair, seeming to savor the moment. Well, for 3 reasons. The first would be, and I quote, "To hell with you, you lying piece of crap. I hope your legs fall off, and you die painfully from infected bed sores." That was back then, and I got over it. We were lovers once upon a time. Mab tilted her head to the side and replied as if the man sitting in front of her was of little consequence. Most boring time of my life. But yes. And what is your third point? Lucifer grinned, uncaring for his life. You're a redhead. Faster than mortal sight could follow, Mab drew a knife from under the table to slam it halfway into the top. She looked down at the seemingly subconscious reaction to shake her head. I will concede your last point. Her expression softened as she smiled. How have you been, Melek? Honestly, creation is falling apart, but that is normal nowadays. You? Mab shrugged, as if the Legion Master had only visited yesterday instead of several of his universes worth of time. Not that she was bitter about it. Oh, you know. Not too bad, other than wondering why someone who shared such a long portion of my life ran out on me in the middle of the night without saying goodbye, or even bothering to leave an "I will be back later" letter. For such an old creator, Melek, you really have no clue how women work, do you? She called him by the previous name the Legion Master had gone by, before the cast-out angel, Lucifer, gave up his name. Melek Taus was an elder creator, from high up in the 9th dimension. She saw the haunted look in his eyes as he twitched ever so slightly upon hearing that name. She stared at him for a long moment, before asking, "What?" "Melek Taus is dead to the majority of creation. You're sitting right in front of me." The Legion Master shook his head and sighed. "Only to those of you who knew me as that individual. Set and Horus tried to kill me when we were in the middle of the webway hunting for Ahura Mazda, after she went insane and got lost in there. I let everyone, including them, think they had succeeded, then took another name, Lucifer." "Jehovah's exiled son?" "Yes. Oh, by the way, Jehovah's son is the angel I brought with me. He serves as the commander of my bodyguard. He goes by Amon now." Mab leaned back to drum her fingers on the desk, hung her head and began to laugh. "You're telling me your old name was fake as well? Of course, my luck with men is so trash. Not only did you stand me up, you even lacked the common courtesy to not give me a fake name, like a sleazy married man at an ale house. Go on and explain this to me, please. You came here asking for my help. I will not lift a finger until I hear a satisfactory explanation." "Mab, She leaned forward to withdraw the knife from the table and point it at the man across from her. "Is it so hard for a man to admit when he has done something wrong? You owe me, Melek, or whatever your name really is. I am waiting." 2 glasses of the sweet white wine, which was standard for the Legion Master, appeared on the table before the ancient being. He handed one of them to Mab, who sniffed it, then took an experimental sip. Her eyes flew wide as Lucifer took his own drink. "Gods!" Mab exclaimed. "Not that this gets you off the hook for an explanation. But where have you been hiding this? I don't remember it from when you were with me." Lucifer let out a genuine laugh. "Believe it or not, I found this 2-bit dictator who was playing around with one of Minwala's mirrors. You know those quantum displacement gates, which ranged in size from hand to full-body mirrors. Please tell me you destroyed that infernal machine," Mab asked with a shudder. Such technology was banned by any sane creator-run nation for a very simple reason. Having atomics, nanite swarms, viral plagues, or any other horrible device dropped on a city from seemingly nowhere, was politically and economically destabilizing. Lucifer nodded and continued. I did. Turns out, the dictator who loved to make chemical weapons owned a whole continent's worth of vineyards and spent all of his free time there trying to make the best wine he could. Needless to say, he had an unfortunate accident and came to work for me instead. Crondall makes the best wine I have ever had. Since he is a megalomaniac, he accepted immortality to continue doing what he loves. As he paused to relive painful memories, Mab saw something in the silver eyes which chilled her soul, and she was a creator. She saw endless, soul-crushing boredom and despair. The Queen knew the being across from her was older than most, but he had never told her much about his past. Anyway, to your question, I never had a name originally, since there was no one around to give me one. The first creation named me Yahweh, and the wine glass fell from Mab's hand to be knocked sideways by the edge of the table and spill its contents on her shoes before shattering on the stone floor. You must be lying to me again, Mab said. That's not possible. Yahweh is a myth. He is a boogeyman made up by other creators to tell ghost stories like the lesser beings do around a campfire. The creator made another glass and handed it to her. Unfortunately, I am he. Or rather, the part of me associated with the name is him. I do everything I can to distance myself from that individual, since he is an utter, ruthless arsehole who hates everything with a holy passion. So I find people who no longer want to be who they were, such as Lucifer, or I make up entirely new personalities so I can be what I wish to be. Meliktaus was one such personality. I rather liked him. Maybe after some time, I will dust him back off and let him roam around again. Mab, ruler of the entire universe of her own making, was speechless. She, of course, had heard of the mythical Yahweh figure, and knew he had to be real because other elder creators such as Izanagi, Tongasok, and Nanabulaku have mentioned him to her before. She looked into the sad, eternal eyes she had looked into many times in the past, and saw he was being absolutely serious. "Let us say you are who you say you are," she finally said, scarcely believing her own words. "Why should I believe you?" She waved her hand. "That does not matter. Why did you leave?" "I prefer to live in the void between the stars, Mab. But the real reason is I had to leave to go handle other important matters. I do not mean to say that you are not important. We have history, and I cherish the time and memories I spent with you. But you want to live here, and I can't stay here forever unless I abandon all the rest of my workings." He looked away in shame. "Besides, you were mad at me for how I handled that problem with the Cludders from the time they were raiding their neighbors to abduct children. I thought it would be best to just leave and rip the bandage off, so to say. Staying to argue would have only built more anger and resentment from you." Mab opened her mouth to speak, then closed it as she closed her eyes to rub them while she thought. He was right. While she flew into a rage after his sudden disappearance, she was forced to admit she would have only found more things to argue about until events and words spiraled out of control. You are right. It was the best thing for you to do, even though it hurt me more than you can imagine. I did not enjoy leaving either. Mab sat up straighter in her chair as she carefully wiped all traces of emotion from her face as she transitioned into the ruler who represented her realm. Yes, well, what was done is done. What did you want to see me about? Lucifer made a production of reaching into his jacket to pull out his copy of Memoirs of a Fey Queen to set it on the table. This is my copy, right? Mab knew by the small differences on the cover whose copy the book on the table was. Yes, as far as my memory is concerned. Lucifer repeated his production to draw out the one he bought for a ridiculous price. Mab blinked. "Why do you have hers?" she asked. "A very good question. I was sitting on a beach when I received word from one of the auction houses I frequent that this book was for sale. The only thing I can come up with is Baoban Sith was trying to get my attention. She could not get a message out any other way since you do not use technology here. How she got it out is a mystery, too." Mab reached for the book and began flipping through pages, looking for any discrepancies or written messages in the blank spaces. She found none. I have been told that her part of the realm has been relatively quiet as of late. I have not received any reports otherwise. Is she still in the castle on top of that wide hill overlooking the mountain pass? No. She moved in with Count Orla in his domain. At least I think so, as she has not been at court in a long time. Lucifer pinched the bridge of his nose to sigh. Who is that? Count Diarmuid Orla is a red cap, a surprisingly sane example of his people. I assigned him to the county of East Slayer Brown to keep the Fomori from raiding into Troll Land. Normally I would not care about the stupid trolls, but they have been having problems with the dryads who claim the trolls have been cutting down their trees to make large bonfires for seemingly no reason. The Legion Master was suddenly alert. The Fomori do not like large amounts of light, Mab. They live underground and get their light from phosphorescent mosses and lichens. The woman waved a hand as if such a thing was normal, and she did not need to be reminded. Most things here do not like bright light. This is nothing new. Have you sent riders to check on things? That is Count Orla's job. He would have let me know if there was a problem. There was no way the Legion Master could tell the ruler of this realm there was, in fact, a serious problem, as she lacked the understanding of just what he truly was. So he called out to the two upstairs. "Soldier, come here." "Your Majesty," the soldier called down, clearly hesitant to do anything since he was ordered to stay put until Mab informed him to do otherwise. "Just do it," Mab replied. The soldier came downstairs, and Lucifer stood up to fix him in place with glowing silver eyes. "Run back to the hotel as fast as your legs can carry you. Tell the tall one in armor who came with me to get the ladies and meet me here immediately. Spread the word to your fellow soldiers that there will be strange things in the sky and to not panic. Your city is not under attack." The absolute voice of command was countered by the outstretched palm of the ruler of this verse, pointed at the soldier. "Hold! Melik, what are you doing?" "Mab, the Fomori are raiding into Troll Land because of one of two reasons. They are fleeing something more violent than they are, or something is making them leave their caves as a scouting force." "Foolishness," Mab chuckled. "No one is more violent than the Fomori." Lucifer ground his teeth. Mab had spent so long away from the rest of creation, she did not think along modern military lines. Even then, she had made her universe soon after becoming aware, and had a limited understanding or desire to know what was going on. "Mab, if you have never trusted me before, I need you to do so now. Mobilize everything you can get your hands on and put them on standby. You probably have elements of the first creation in your universe. They must be stopped before they kill you all. You do not give orders here, Melik. I will not do anything until." The Legion Master moved faster than sight to be on the opposite side of the table, his hand clamped over hers, still resting on the table. He was showing her memories and explaining far faster than could be accomplished by a pedantic verbal conversation. Mab's focus snapped back to the here and now as Lucifer let go. She looked to the soldier and commanded, "Do as you were instructed, and tell someone to bring Captain Eakin to me here, immediately." The first creation were as the name implied. The first creation made by God did not have the distinction of organic and inorganic. The beings who inhabit that verse had the lightning-quick mind of a thinking machine coupled with the adaptability of organic life. Creator Baal and his people had been sealed away by God long ago, but somehow they were now able to escape in small numbers and wreak havoc among the rest of creation. The Legion Master and a handful of others had been running around in attempts to blunt or destroy the incursions, but they were not always quick enough to stop whatever design the enemy had planned. Mortals might as well not show up to the fight against the first creation, since they could not move or think fast enough to effectively fight them. Lucifer nodded as he made for the door. He reached up to touch the pendant under his shirt. "Morana, I need you to drop off a gremlin for us at Mab's capital. Wake up and put on standby, whatever legate has the most angels and is not currently tied down. We have a possible first creation incursion. More details to follow later." The pair had worked together for so long, she knew when he was finished speaking. "Done. Displacing now to drop off your ride. I will be leaving unless you need me to stay." There was no need for the Legion Master to have the rest of his redundant bodyguard dropped off as of right now. The Legion Master went outside and looked up to see the mile-long form of the sleek destroyer hull, which had been his home for so long. He knew almost every atom of its being. The ship hung in the air like a leviathan, promising death to all who would oppose it. A small tube-like craft flew from one of the open hangar bays. Then the great ship disappeared without a thunderclap of displaced air, because Morana was a professional, and doing anything else would have been sloppy. The gremlin coming down looked like an elongated gas cylinder with short, stubby atmospheric wings which mounted large rail guns on gimbals and missile pods. The gunship engaged its optical camouflage to vanish from sight and take up a circular holding pattern until it was called for. Since the craft used a grav drives in a gravity well powered by zero-point energy siphons, fuel was never going to be a concern. It was even capable of faster-than-light travel inside of a warp bubble, but engaging said propulsion device inside of an atmosphere caused havoc with the immediate area, and was only done in emergencies. Mab walked outside. The white portions of her dress seemed to glow in the perpetual twilight. "You look scared," she said quietly, as the soldier began running back towards the golden sphinx, his armor making all manner of clanking noises. "I could end the threat of what I showed you if I just killed my son and erased that universe from existence." "Why not do it then?" The Legion Master clenched his fists. "Because," he said, "even I need someone to be the personification of evil to remind me of what not to become. You lost me with that. Do we not have perfect memory recall?" The Legion Master, hiding behind the name Lucifer, sighed. It was an eternally weary sound. "I am old, Mab. So old even an elder like you has no frame of reference for the amount of time I am talking about. I am tired. So tired it is far too tempting for me to take the easy route and become a tyrant. I need my insane son to remind me of what not to do, what not to become. Yet, by doing as I have, the first creation will inevitably become more of a problem, and only angels and creators have the ability to stand against them. You could take the endless slaves from Bast's empire, and they would barely slow them down if they showed up in force. What happened to Amon-Ra? We had a disagreement over matters of policy, and he did not make it. Bast is now in charge there." "I see," Mab finally said. What else has happened out there? Well, let's see. Kronos is dead. Elohim came back. Elohim was gone? The woman interjected. Lucifer sighed as he bowed his head to pinch his nose as he remembered Mab loved to not let people finish their sentences. It was not a malicious act, rather something she just did. The first creation attacked the central control mechanism for his displacement gates. He was able to repel them with the help of a mortal group who call themselves Terrans, and they took catastrophic losses before getting the job done. Elohim was gone for several hundred years, checking over gate systems because he was paranoid. Good thing he did too. There were problems which are now fixed. 23 minutes later, there came the sound of metal-shod feet rhythmically pounding onto the cobblestone road. Both creators turned their heads to see the armored figures of Aemon and the two ladies come running. Delia and Francesca did not make landfall with the standard armor the Centurion had. Instead, they activated their Legion pendants, which caused a thin layer of room temperature and pressure liquid metal hydrogen to form a second skin. The armor was a holdover from the ancient wars which ravaged entire universes before the limiting treaties on such dangerous tech had been agreed upon by most creators. The armor would enhance the wearer's speed and strength, as well as protecting against vacuum and pressure, all while maintaining a comfortable internal temperature while providing a full communication suite. The main issue with the emergency pendant armor was the lack of bathroom plumbing. There was a larger set of the liquid metal armor which did have such provisions, but it was only for use on the frontier or wars in which there were no limiting treaties. Both Delia and Francesca had their helmets retracted into their armor's neck seals, and Mab had looked to Delia as they all came to a halt. "You look familiar," the creator asked. "Where do I know you from?" Delia did not miss a beat as she expertly transitioned from, "Oh my God, things are on fire," to being in the presence of a ruling monarch. She inclined her head respectfully and said, "I am Princess Delia Monsignor. My mother is Creator Lamashtu, and she made me with mostly her physical features except for my hair color." "Ah, yes, that is exactly who I thought you reminded me of. If I may, Majesty, this is Queen Francesca Altdorf of the Succubi of Creator Gaia's verse." Mab looked to Francesca with a quizzical eye and a curt nod of respect as the succubus gave an elegant curtsy. Margrave Acon did not report there was another of the peerage here. He said you were a serving woman, but his eyes must be failing because no one could mistake your bearing for a minor house lady. Are you acting as a representative of my sister? No, Your Majesty. Were I to be representing anyone during this visit, it would be my people who are now independent. Mab's head rocked back in shock. All creators knew Gaia had a tightly controlled nation. Independent? When did this happen? Last year, Majesty, Francesca said, and looked to the Legion Master who gestured for her to continue. The Enclave broke up. Those still loyal to Gaia joined the Legion, thanks to the first creation incursions we could not counter on our own. We have the Centaurs, all of the elementals besides the Fire Clan, and Pixies with us. The Minotaurs, Fire Elementals, and the rest have stayed with creators Zeus and Oris. Mab looked to Lucifer, who nodded in agreement. "Perhaps I should get out more," she said. "So much has happened that I am not aware of." "That would be prudent," Lucifer agreed. "Our brother Odin lost a quarter of his territory to a new group in the host ascendancy, the Terrans. Michael whipped them into a fanatical frenzy, while Elohim was away and struck deep. Odin lost Asgard and is now on Jotunheim in case you need to contact him. Oh, and our sister Kundi has started a civil war with Vishnu and the Brahmana Vata. Vishnu seems to be allied with Ahura Mazda, Baal, and the others. I will leave here once we find out if you are right," and go see what is afoot in the known universes. Have there been any other major developments? Of course, but those events are the major ones happening down here in the third dimension. It is more of the same in the higher ones. Margrave Aiken came galloping up on a massive griffin, which was breathing hard and sweating through its feathers from the exertion. "My queen," he called out, swinging from his saddle to kneel on the cobblestone street. He glanced to the other standing by Mab, and he was staring at the ragged-looking Legion Master standing practically touching his liege. The wheels turned in his mind, and he came up with the individual was obviously more than he appeared. Mab wasted no time as she commanded. "Assemble a mounted force and ride to Count Orla's domain. My brother believes there is first creation with or around the Fomori. He is going on ahead with his retinue, and I want you to be my eyes and ears if he finds things to be not as they seem. I give you full authority to act as you see fit in my name, until this matter is resolved." Margrave Ishon's eyes had flown wide when his queen said the ragged-looking individual was her brother. He had no idea what a first creation was, but he was used to orders that did not make sense. He bowed his head before speaking. "It will be done, my queen." "Excellent, Margrave. I will await your report and begin pulling together an army in case the worst comes to pass. Coordinate your actions with my brother before leaving. You may rise." Mab turned to her older brother. "I will leave you to it as I go to draft the commands to begin mobilizing on my end. Please keep me informed of what you find." "I will," Lucifer replied, moving to offer his hand to the Margrave. "Sorry about the deception earlier, but I really could care less about protocol." Margrave Aishon looked the creator up and down while swallowing hard as he took the much taller being's hand. He should have known what the Legion Master was by his size alone. But Mab's universe was one of immortals, and he did not have any experience in dealing with outsiders. "What do you need me to do, Majesty?" The last word was more of a question, since the noble had no clue what the being's official rank was. "How long will it take for you to draw up several hundred mounted men and ride to Count Orla's place?" The Margrave was good at his job. He only had to think for a few seconds to say, "I can have 200 mounts and their riders in less than 3 hours. It would take a few days to pull together the necessary supplies for an extended field campaign. The trip to the Count's territory will take 3 months if we do not spare the mounts. More if you want all of us to make it on non-played-out animals." Lucifer pinched the bridge of his nose and muttered, 3 months is too long." He touched the pendant under his jacket. "Morana, do you have a couple transports capable of moving mounts and riders?" The reply from the metal woman came instantly, thanks to quantum communications. "You know I do. Have the Margrave form his men up in the central courtyard 50 at a time, and I will take care of it." "Thanks," the Legion Master replied, looking to the noble. "Did you catch that?" The Margrave nodded. "I just have one question. What manner of wagon can hold 50 mounts and their riders?" "A flying one. Don't worry. We do it all the time." The noble looked pale as he remounted and rode off to call together the requested men. Aemon called to Morana through his own pendant. "Can you make me some drop wings? These poor boys will be doing something they have never thought possible, and I think they need something special to celebrate the occasion."